So, guys, I want to talk about Northern Vermont University, and it's a college that I went to from 2006 to 2010. And they recently sent out a message talking about like severe budget cuts and and how they're going to make their budget until the year 2027. And they were talking about things like reducing like staff size and a lot of other like cuts. So I do want to talk about to them, ways it can get better and some of the issues with the university. So like first of all, one thing that I didn't like about the college was that like if you had like a certain degree like art and whatever, they really didn't teach you how to get jobs. So if they had something like like art and entrepreneurship, that would be really really good, or art and grants, or art and finding how to arts and exhibitions, how do you exhibition your work in other places, or you had like jobs like digital media, coding, making artwork for other people and stuff like that, really, or like how to be a comic artist, or like how to kind of be hired to certain jobs, or how to be like a photographer, or being hired for weddings or other things like that, like how to kind of like make a bunch of hustles, not just take a painting class, take a printmaking class, take a photography class, because those techniques are good, but also if you can kind of like make it so people could not graduate unless they took classes on how to make money with their craft, that would be really really good. I also think that another thing that I did not like was some of the professors. Like obviously there are a lot of great professors at Johnson State College, but they've had like many professors. Like I remember like my art history professor saying something like, I got 10 years so I don't have to care anymore. And what she would do is do something where a lot of the assignments were just the students teaching the class. So I did a presentation on blaxploitation films for my women and for my women in art class, and talked about like how women were portrayed in blaxploitation films. So when we did our final exam, some of the information that I was teaching the class was in that, and that was true for all the other students. So that was like that for her. For a few other classes that I took with her. So that way she kind of got away with just doing nothing and watching us and just doing her dissertation homework so she can like be a doctorate and make more money, really. So sometimes you have professors that are like that. And then another thing is that I remember I had a writing professor who, for my senior thesis, he only wanted me to write one chapter of my memoir. He didn't want me to write a whole book. And he was kind of like saying that he doesn't have time for that. Sometimes you gotta just not do your best. And he even told me those exact same words. And I also had like an art professor once tell me that when you're an MFA student, that's actually when we're gonna be hard on you and really challenge you. But since you're an undergraduate, we're gonna say everything is great. So definitely there's a lot of like professors and teachers that have fatigue, or they have a sense of, well, I have so many students that I gotta like grade and do I got so many students to take care of that I can't really focus on quality. I just have to focus on quantity. And because I kind of feel underappreciated and overworked, that I just don't care anymore. And maybe some people feel a sense of, like I've learned when I worked at Southern Connecticut State University, is that if you work hard and you're ambitious and you're driven, you end up getting taken advantage of. But if you kind of don't care, people will give up, but you still have a long-term career, and that's not actually a good thing. The other issue that I faced was, I remember hearing a story that they wanted to hire an art professor, and they wanted to pay them like $30,000 a year. And $30,000, even though this was in 2009, 2010, that's bullshit. That's a shit pay. And I remember like, my art history, the chairman of the art department saying something like, really, it's a prestigious job and you're here for the students. And a bunch of people did turn down that job. And they had to get a bunch of adjuncts to kind of make up for that. So if you are really just underpaying your staff, or you're trying to like say to people, oh, well, work here, but you're just, going to take a low paying job. Why would I ever want to work, or would I just want to work there as I'm trying to find something better for myself? Like I work at a hospital, same thing. The managers are overworked, and I think they make from 50,000 to 100,000. But one of the reasons why a lot of them bail is for that reason. You're overworked, but you're working at something that with the Yale name on it. So when you go somewhere else that pays you a lot more and gives you a lot more benefits, and it's a lot less work, but still expectations, why would I? It's easy to jump ship. So you're not doing things that make one people to be there long term. The next thing is that I've had a bunch of inappropriate experiences. Like first of all, I've experienced a bunch of racism at the college, and I'll say that it was like last year I actually emailed the college and said, I wanted to talk about solutions, and they said, okay, well, we'll get back to you. And they never got back to me. So to go quick, I remember a couple of things happened to me. Like first of all, I had students call me a nigger. I've had professors call me a nigger. I remember like my English professor, he once said that Nigger of the Narcissus, the Joseph Conrad book, is a great example of a psychological drama. That he looked at me and said, oh, I didn't realize we had a black man in the classroom. And I had eventually some professors that refer to me as black man, black student, and black boy. And I actually still told many professors that I'm multiracial, but they always kind of had a mentality of, no, you're not multiracial. You are the black kid. You are the black student. Well, Obama's president. How does it feel, black man, for Obama to be president? And I also had a friend who was black named Justin, and he went by the nickname Darky Ninja. And a lot of white people were calling him Darky and want to call me Darky as well. I've been called nigger a bunch of times. So there was definitely like a lot of just like racism. And I think that one of the big problems with the college was that, again, working at Southern Connecticut State University, when you go to a place like Northern Vermont University, there's not a lot of education on what is racial harassment, what is sexual harassment, and to report it. Because I think sometimes when people are young, they're naive, they don't actually realize that these are things to report. And you can't always blame them. You also have to blame the lack of education. But I really, hold their feet to the fire for not creating opportunities to educate people on racial harassment, to prevent incidences and also to report incidences. The next thing that I would say is that the graduation sucked, because I remember like when people graduated, you open up your board, and inside of it was a piece of paper saying, you know what, we're going to send you your degree in the mail, but we got to make sure that your dues are all paid. So imagine if you're graduating and you're getting a slip that says, oh, well, there's no degree, but you're going to get your degree in the mail once you pay everything. So that does feel kind of like a fuck you. And then also, I'm a double major, and I remember like the dean of academic affairs saying something like, you can't get 2 degrees, everybody gets 1. So BFA of studio arts. And I also remember being a BFA in creative writing, but like that's kind of really disrespectful. You work very hard. I remember taking like 24 credit hours and working 4 or 5 jobs, and I can't even get a fucking I can't even get 2 pieces of paper saying that I graduated with 2 degrees from a college. How much money is that going to cost you, and how much of a fuck you is that? The next thing that I would say is that really with the college, that I really just felt that there was a lot of like entitlement and not getting rid of bad students. Like, yes, there were issues with drugs on the campus when I went there. That's every college. There were issues with drinking. That's every college. There were things like, there were some students, there was actually one student that was actually doing a Spider-Man thing and climbing up a building. So, and a bunch of people saw that. So somebody climbing up a building, they don't punish that. There was actually a student who took a pumpkin and threw it off a bridge into the cafeteria, and he got community service when he could have nearly killed somebody doing that. So that should be a criminal charge. It's not attempted murder, but that's still like criminal mischief. or, assault or battery or something like that, or putting people in a dangerous situation. But you got community service. We're chucking a pumpkin, at least 20 feet into a cafeteria, which it couldn't. And he did it right by one of the bridges. So obviously somebody could have gone under, and it could have hit somebody in the head and killed somebody. So, and you get community service where you had to help out in the cafeteria for a couple hours. That's, wow. The next thing is that I remember that, that there was also some students setting off bottle rockets and fireworks and trash cans. And again, that is a crime, but, oh, well, people are able to run into buildings and get away with it. So it was really kind of a lot of just, bad behavior going unpunished. There's also a story, and this did happen, that there were 2 kids that were streaking on, I think on RVs. So, through the campus. So, a bunch of little girls, less than 10 years old were talking about their penises and other things like that. And a bunch of people were really, really upset by it. But it's also kind of the thing that, as we said, that, if people are not caught and not punished, why would I go to a campus where, I'm going, and then, my younger brother, who was 12 years younger than me, so maybe he was 2010, he was born in 1999, so maybe he's 9 years old or whatever, 11 years old, and he's seeing, grown men walking around naked because they're doing RV stuff, because they're running on RVs. So, there was a lot of just problems to the campus. And definitely, I remember a lot of times, when they did fundraisers, I worked during fundraisers, they would always call students and ask them for money and whatever, and people would kind of hate that. So, or I remember also too that, when the president of the university, of the college, was always asking for donations, every fundraiser, everywhere when, please donate. And she even said something, we can afford something better than this cafeteria food. So a lot of people felt insulted that she dissed all the cafeteria workers. So I think that what I would kind of say is that, obviously all colleges have problems. There's ups and downs everywhere. But I definitely think that, when people just know, there's more education nowadays, that a college degree isn't everything. There's also more education nowadays that professors don't care. That's not all professors, but, professors are human beings. There will be some that will be what, it's a racket, so I'm just there for a big paycheck. I'm there to kind of repeat the same assignment, and sometimes I don't wash my mouth, and I tell everybody, I'm repeating the curriculum. I'm using the same notes that I use every single year. So I found a system where I can kind of be lazy, or I can do something have PowerPoints and say that that's teaching people leadership skills, engaging skills, but it's actually an excuse for them to sit on their asses and collect the paycheck while you actually are teaching the class, and other things like that. But also too that, and also just a lack of education on reporting things like sexual harassment and racism, and then also professors that are politically incorrect, that don't know how to talk to African Americans or other races. So, it is a campus with a big bulge of problems. I'm happy that, I've always had a desire to be really wealthy and donate to the campus and pay for everybody's education. But I'm happy that if I became wealthy and I had that opportunity, I would never give the campus a damn dime. And I'm happy that I do videos like this, because it's definitely not a constructive environment. If it closes down, just so be it, to hell with it. But there are a lot of ways it can be better, and definitely have degrees that matter, have degrees that lead people to jobs. If the campus knows of industries or people that are looking for artists, or people that are looking to hire people, whether it be people looking to hire artists, or people looking for nursing jobs or psychology jobs, and they kind of just network and help people out to find jobs, that would be a really big plus. I also think that definitely more education on sexual harassment and racial harassment, how to report things, having a better standard, and then also just bringing in more people, or even if you want to train people to be adjunct professors that are students, or volunteer to be adjunct professors, you can teach them how to grade and other things like that, really. So there's a way to kind of elevate people and make it a good experience for everybody. But I also think that as I said, I think that's also a great idea if they did something like, like professor in training classes or professor in training as a job, and you're taught to kind of grade people's work and critique and do other things like that to kind of lighten the load of professors. But I do think there also has to be a point where professors are expected to operate and do a really great job. They're not there to just be like, well, I'm too busy, so if I can shortcut, I can shortcut. And if they're not that busy, they have like I have a sit on my ass philosophy. And then also professors should not be politically incorrect. There are such things as multiracial people in the world. Not just every brown person you meet is black, unless they have a Latino last name, and then you assume that they're Hispanic or Mexican. So, there's a lot of issues at this university. I'm happy to always talk about it, but I also just know that with any issue that I've discussed, they can always be better, and that's what I want them to be better. And if they can't be better, then just shut it down.